All right, so are you ready to jump into network engineering with us?
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty smart move,
Yeah.
honestly. It's a field that's really just blowing up as our world relies more and more on, staying connected.
Right.
So to guide our deep dive today, we're going to be using this article from intern Shala.
Okay.
It's called Top 40 Network Engineer Interview Questions and Answers.
Catchy.
Yeah, and it was published fairly recently, September 30th, 2024.
Okay.
And it's a great resource whether you're prepping for an interview or just trying to understand like the core concepts of networking.
Yeah, I think what's so cool about this article is like how they use the interview question format
Right.
to like break down these really complex topics
Hmm.
into like these bite-sized pieces,
Yeah.
you know? It's almost like you're getting a cheat sheet for like what actually matters in the field.
Totally. And we're going to unpack everything
Yeah.
from the basics of, what a network actually IS
Right.
to more complex ideas like subnetting and firewalls.
Hmm.
By the end of this, you'll be able to explain like why an IP address is like a phone number for your computer.
Okay.
Or like how a VPN is like sending your data in a secret locked box.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
That's good.
We'll even touch on some fascinating trends that are shaping the future of networking.
Yeah, for sure. Things that might not be on like the interview sheet,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but they're definitely worth knowing about.
Okay, so let's get started with some of the fundamentals here.
All right.
Can you break down what a network actually is?
Okay, so like imagine your neighborhood
Okay.
where everyone's connected and can share things with each other. The
Right.
houses are like devices like your computer, your phone, even your smart fridge,
Okay.
and the streets and sidewalks.
Right.
Those are the connections that let them communicate and share resources.
Okay, so like my home Wi-Fi is a network then.
Exactly.
Mm.
That's a perfect example of a LAN
Well-
or local area network. It's usually a smaller network, like within a single building or home.
Gotcha.
Then you have WANs or wide area networks, which cover like much larger areas, like the entire internet.
Whoa.
You also have MANs, which are like citywide networks,
Okay.
and PANs, which are like personal networks that
Brilliant.
connect the devices you carry around,
Right.
like your phone and your headphones.
So when I'm streaming a movie at home, I'm using my LAN.
Uh-huh.
But when I'm checking email, I'm tapping into the massive WAN that is the internet.
You got it.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Now, within a network, you have devices called switches and routers
Right.
that help direct traffic and make sure the data gets where it needs to go.
That's why I always get confused.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a switch and a router?
Okay, so a switch
Mhm.
is like a local traffic cop. It helps devices on the same network talk to each other.
Okay.
A router, on the other hand, is like a long-distance operator.
Oh, okay.
It connects your network to other networks, including the internet.
Okay.
So the switch might help your computer and printer share files.
Well, the router lets you access websites and send emails.
So switch is local communication routers outside world.
You got it.
Okay, I think I can remember that.
Perfect.
So speaking of connecting to the outside world, let's talk about VPNs.
Okay.
They've become so essential for anyone using public Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I use a VPN all the time,
Good.
but I'm not really sure how it works. I just know it's supposed to keep my data safe.
So imagine a VPN as like a secret tunnel for your data.
Okay.
When you connect to a public Wi-Fi network, your data is just like out in the open,
Right.
vulnerable to snooping.
Yeah.
A VPN creates an encrypted tunnel,
Okay.
like a private passageway,
Yeah.
shielding your data from prying eyes.
Gotcha.
It's like sending your information in a locked box that only the intended recipient can open.
Okay. So instead of my data being broadcast for anyone to see,
Mm-hmm.
it's traveling through this secure tunnel.
Exactly.
And it makes using public Wi-Fi way less risky,
Yes, much less risky. As a critical layer of security and privacy.
especially when you're on networks you don't control.
Right, exactly.
Okay. VPNs, check.
Mm.
What about IP addresses?
Okay.
I know they're important, but they always seem so complicated.
Well, think of IP addresses as like phone numbers
Okay.
for devices on a network.
Cool.
Just like you need a unique phone number to make calls.
Right.
Each device on a network needs a unique IP address to communicate.
So every time I go online, my computer's using its unique IP address to send and receive data.
That's exactly right. Without a unique IP address,
Yeah?
devices wouldn't know where to send information or how to find each other on the network.
Okay.
Now, there are two main types of IP addresses, IPv4 and IPv6.
Okay.
We used to rely on IPv4, but we're running out of those addresses.
Oh, wow.
IPv6 solves that problem by using a much larger address space,
Okay.
ensuring we have enough unique addresses for literally the billions of devices connecting to the internet.
So it's like we upgraded our phone system.
Yeah.
to handle calls from everyone on the planet, plus all their smart devices.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Now, to make sure all this communication happens smoothly,
Right.
there's a set of rules and standards that networks follow.
Okay.
And one of the key frameworks is the OSI model.
I've heard of that.
Hmm.
It sounds pretty technical.
It can be, but the main takeaway, it divides network communication into 7 layers,
Okay.
each with a specific function. Think of it like a well-oiled machine,
Okay.
with each component playing a specific role to make sure your data gets sent and received correctly.
Watch it.
We don't need to get into the details of each layer now,
Yeah.
but it's a helpful model for understanding like how networks operate.
Okay. So it's like a blueprint for making sure all the different parts of a network can work together.
Exactly. Seamlessly.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to this concept called subnetting,
All right.
which is a way of dividing a larger network into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Yeah. So imagine your house is a network
Okay.
and each room is a subnet.
Okay. I'm picturing it. So how does that help manage the network?
Well, it helps organize traffic flow, improve security, and make troubleshooting easier.
Okay.
It's like having separate phone lines for each room in your house.
Right.
Instead of one giant party line, you can control and manage traffic more effectively that way.
That makes sense. It's like dividing a big city into neighborhoods to make it easier to navigate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, another important concept is NAT,
NAT.
or Network Address Translation. It allows multiple devices within your network to share a single public IP address,
Okay.
masking their individual addresses from the outside world.
So if I have multiple computers and smartphones connected to my home Wi-Fi, they're all sharing the same public IP address when they access the internet.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like having a single phone number for your entire house,
Right.
but then having an internal directory to connect to individual extensions.
Oh, okay.
NAT helps conserve IP addresses, which is important given the limited number of IPv4 addresses available.
Right.
And it enhances security by hiding your internal devices from the outside world. It's a really fundamental mechanism for how we connect to the internet today.
That's amazing.
It is.
There's so much happening behind the scenes that we never even think about.
It's true.
Okay, so that's NAT. And then there's this other thing called VLANs.
VLANs, right?
What are those?
VLAN stands for Virtual Local Area Network.
No?
It's a way to segment a physical network into multiple logical networks, even if they're sharing the same physical cables.
Okay.
So imagine you have a single network cable running through your office, but you want to create separate networks for different departments.
Right.
Like accounting, marketing, sales.
Okay.
VLANs let you do that without running separate physical cables for each department.
So it's like having different virtual rooms on the same physical network cable.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
Each with its own set of rules and security measures.
So it's about like organization and security, I guess.
Exactly. VLANs are really powerful tools for improving security, managing traffic, and tailoring network settings to specific needs.
Gotcha. Okay, VLANs, got it. Now, the article also mentioned routing protocols.
Yes,
Are those something I need to understand?
definitely. They're like the traffic signals and highway signs that guide data packets on their journey across networks.
Okay.
Routing protocols are the rules that routers use to determine the best paths for data to travel.
Gotcha.
There are different types of routing protocols, like OSPF, which is commonly used within a single network,
Right.
and BGP, which is used to connect different networks together, like the internet.
Okay. So when I send an email, routing protocols are working behind the scenes to make sure that email finds its way to the recipient's inbox.
Exactly. Even if it has to travel across multiple networks to get there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to appreciate the complexity of how all of this works.
It's pretty amazing,
Yeah,
but also fascinating.
it is.
Now, another important aspect of managing a network is keeping an eye on its performance and making sure everything's running smoothly.
Okay.
And that's where network monitoring tools come in.
Okay, are those like the check engine light on my car's dashboard?
That's a good analogy.
Okay,
Think of them as like the dashboard for your entire network.
gotcha.
Tools like Wireshark Nagios and SolarWinds give you visibility into what's happening,
Right.
allowing you to track performance, identify bottlenecks, and troubleshoot issues.
So it's like having a team of mechanics constantly monitoring your car's engine
Uh-huh.
and alerting you to any potential problems.
Exactly. Network monitoring is essential for keeping things running smoothly
Gotcha.
and preventing major disruptions.
So it's like a health check for your entire network.
You got it.
Okay. Now, the article also mentioned network redundancy strategies.
Yeah.
What's the deal with those?
Network redundancy is all about having backup systems and failover mechanisms in place.
Okay.
Imagine if a cable gets cut or a router fails.
Right.
Redundancy ensures that your network can still function even if part of it goes down.
Oh.
It's like having a spare tire in your car.
Right.
You might not need it every day, but you're sure glad you have it when you do.
Absolutely. I wouldn't want my whole network to crash just because one component fails.
Exactly. Redundancy is crucial for ensuring reliability and minimizing downtime, especially for businesses that rely heavily on their networks.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Mm.
From the basics of what a network is to the importance of redundancy, I feel like I've gained a pretty solid understanding of the foundational elements.
Good.
What are some of the key takeaways you think listeners should keep in mind?
I think what's really fascinating is that even though we're framing this around interview questions, these concepts are relevant for anyone who uses technology,
Right.
Understanding how networks work gives you a deeper appreciation for just the interconnectedness of our digital world. It also empowers you to troubleshoot problems,
Right.
make informed decisions about your own home network,
Yeah,
and maybe even spark an interest in pursuing a career in this dynamic field.
totally. It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing the magic that makes all this connectivity possible. And now that we have a grasp on the basics, are you ready to level up
Let's do it.
and explore some more advanced concepts?
I'm ready. Okay, so we've laid some pretty solid groundwork with the basics of networking.
Right.
Now let's dive into some of the more advanced concepts
Okay.
that build on, what we've already learned.
Gotcha.
These are the things that really separate the networking novices from the pros.
Okay. I'm ready to level up. What's first on the list?
Let's start with firewalls.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard the term,
Yeah.
but do you really understand what a firewall does and why it's so essential?
Honestly, my understanding is pretty basic.
Okay.
I know they're supposed to protect my computer from hackers,
Right?
but I'm not exactly sure how they do that.
Well, think of a firewall like a security guard for your network. It's
Yeah.
constantly scanning incoming and outgoing traffic,
Right.
looking for anything suspicious.
Okay.
If it detects something that doesn't meet the defined security rules, it blocks it, preventing it from reaching your computer or network.
Gotcha.
It's like having a digital bouncer at a club,
Okay.
checking IDs and only letting in those who are on the list.
So it's more than just a barrier.
Right.
It's an active system that's constantly analyzing traffic and making decisions about what to allow and what to block.
Exactly. It's your first line of defense against a whole range of threats.
Right.
From hackers trying to steal your data to malware trying to infect your system.
Okay, firewalls, got it. What's next on our journey into advanced networking concepts?
Let's talk about DNS,
Okay.
which stands for Domain Name System.
Right.
You use DNS every time you browse the internet,
Right.
but you probably don't even realize it.
DNS. That rings a bell, but I'm not sure I could explain what it does.
Okay, so think about it.
Yeah.
You type in a website name like google.com into your browser,
Right.
and magically it connects you to the right website.
Yeah.
But computers don't understand words. They understand numbers, specifically IP addresses.
Right.
DNS acts like a giant phone book for the internet,
Okay.
translating those human-readable domain names
Yeah.
into the numerical IP addresses that computers use to communicate.
So it's like when I type in a contact name on my phone
Yeah.
and it automatically dials their number.
Uh-huh.
DNS is doing the same thing for websites.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
DNS is essential for user-friendly internet navigation.
Right.
Without it, we'd have to remember long numerical IP addresses for every website we want to visit.
It sounds like a nightmare.
Oh,
I'm definitely glad DNS exists.
we do.
What other behind-the-scenes wonders does networking have in store for us?
Let's talk about DHCP,
DHCP.
which stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol.
Okay.
DHCP is like a personal IT assistant
Okay.
that automatically assigns IP addresses to devices on a network.
Okay, so I know each device needs a unique IP address,
Right.
but do I have to manually configure that for every single device on my network?
Not if you have DHCP.
Okay.
When a new device connects to your network, DHCP automatically assigns it a unique IP address from a pool of available addresses,
Okay.
saving you the hassle of doing it manually.
Gotcha.
It's like having a hotel receptionist automatically assign you a room number when you check in.
So DHCP is your silent network hero,
Yes.
working behind the scenes to keep things running smoothly.
That's right.
No more manual IP configuration headaches.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, so we talked about VLANs before
Yes.
as a way to segment a physical network
Right.
into smaller logical networks.
Exactly.
But sometimes you need to isolate certain parts of your network
Yeah.
for even stronger security.
Uh-huh.
That's where a DMZ comes in.
A DMZ. Okay.
So exactly a DMZ.
DMZ stands for Demilitarized Zone.
Okay.
It's a separate network segment that sits between your internal network and the outside world.
Okay.
Think of it like a moat around a castle.
Okay.
If attackers breach the outer wall,
Right.
they still have to cross the moat to reach the inner sanctum.
Okay. DMZ's moats, I'm starting to see the picture.
could-
So it's a way to protect the more sensitive parts of a network
Right.
by isolating them from potential threats.
Exactly. It's a common security measure used to isolate external-facing services,
Okay.
like web servers from your more sensitive internal resources.
Okay.
It adds an extra layer of protection and reduces the risk of attackers gaining access to critical data.
DMZs sound like a pretty powerful security tool.
They are.
What's next on our list of advanced concepts?
Let's talk about proxy servers.
Proxy servers.
They act as intermediaries between a client and the internet,
Okay.
and they can be used for various purposes.
I've heard of proxy servers, but I'm not sure I understand what they do.
Okay, so imagine you're trying to access a website,
Mm-hmm.
but your company has blocked it for security reasons.
Right.
A proxy server can bypass those restrictions
Okay.
by acting as a go-between,
Right.
fetching the content for you and forwarding it to your computer.
So it's like having a friend in another country sneak you a forbidden snack.
That's a great analogy. Proxy servers can be used to bypass censorship,
Right.
access geographically restricted content,
Right.
or even enhance your privacy by masking your IP address.
So they're kind of sneaky but useful.
Yes. Sneaky but useful, they're like the internet's middlemen,
Okay.
handling requests and potentially obscuring identities.
Now this is a bit of a sidestep,
Okay.
but you mentioned earlier that there are some trends shaping the future of networking
Right.
that might not be covered in this interview guide.
Yeah, this article focuses on, foundational concepts,
Right.
but there's a whole world of innovation happening in networking.
Right.
One of the most significant trends is the rise of software-defined networking,
Okay.
or SDN.
SDN, I've heard the term.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what it means.
Traditionally, networks have been managed by physically configuring individual devices,
Right.
like routers and switches. It's a very hands-on, hardware-centric approach.
Okay.
SDN changes that by centralizing control and abstracting the underlying hardware. Imagine having like a single control panel for your entire network,
Okay.
allowing for more flexibility, automation, and scalability.
So instead of manually tweaking each device, you can manage the entire network through software.
That's the idea. It allows network engineers to programmatically define network behavior,
Okay.
automate tasks,
Right.
and respond to changing demands more rapidly.
So it's like having a remote control for your entire network.
That's a good way to think about it.
Okay. So how is SDN impacting the field of network engineering?
Well, it's opening up a whole new world of possibilities.
Wow.
SDN is driving innovation in areas like cloud computing, virtualization, and the Internet of Things.
Okay.
It's making networks more agile, adaptable, and efficient.
So if someone's interested in a career in network engineering, understanding SDN is becoming increasingly important.
Absolutely. It's a rapidly evolving area that's shaping the future of networking.
Right.
Learning about SDN concepts, tools, and platforms can give aspiring network engineers a significant advantage.
Awesome. Okay. This deep dive has been so insightful.
Yeah.
We've gone from basic concepts to advanced topics.
Yeah,
We've even touched on the future of networking.
right.
I feel like I've learned a ton.
Yeah.
What are some of the key takeaways from this exploration of these advanced networking concepts?
I think the main takeaway is that networking is much more than just connecting devices,
Right.
It's about security, efficiency, adaptability, and even innovation
Right.
as our world becomes increasingly reliant on these interconnected systems.
Right.
Understanding these concepts is more important than ever.
Absolutely. And what's so exciting is that even though this article is framed around interview questions,
Yeah.
it's clear that these concepts have real-world applications
Right.
that extend way beyond the interview room.
Exactly. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business owner, or just someone who uses the internet.
Yeah.
Having a grasp of these concepts empowers you to make more informed decisions and navigate the digital world with greater confidence. Now, are you ready to tackle the final section of the article,
Okay.
which focuses on those all-important HR interview questions?
Let's do it.
All right.
All right. So we've covered like all the technical nuts and bolts of networking.
Yeah, the hard skills.
Right.
Yeah.
But now let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about the human side of things.
Okay.
You know, those HR interview questions
Yeah.
that can like make or break your chances
Yeah.
of landing that network engineering job.
It's so easy to get caught up in like the technical details that we forget about the soft skills
Right.
and the personal qualities that employers are looking for.
Right, exactly. So let's dive into like the HR round
Okay.
and see what insights this article has to offer.
Sounds good.
So the first question is a classic.
Okay.
Tell me about yourself.
Right.
Seems simple enough,
Yeah.
but I imagine there's a right way and a wrong way to answer that one.
Oh, for sure. It's your chance to make a strong first impression
Right.
and highlight what makes you unique
Yeah.
and a great fit for the role. Think of it as like a mini elevator pitch for your career
Gotcha.
instead of just reciting your resume. You know,
Yeah.
focus on your passion for networking,
Okay.
your relevant skills and experience, and
Right.
any like projects or achievements that demonstrate your abilities.
So it's about telling a compelling story
Yeah,
that like captures their attention
exactly.
and makes them want to learn more.
You want to showcase your personality and enthusiasm,
Right.
while also demonstrating that you've done your research and understand the company's values and mission.
Another question that always makes me nervous is, why do you want to work for us?
Okay.
I never know how to answer that without sounding generic.
I think it's about showing that you're genuinely interested in the company
Right.
and that you see yourself like thriving in their environment.
Okay.
The key is to go beyond the superficial and demonstrate a deeper understanding of what the company does, its culture, and its goals.
So it's not just about what the company can do for me,
Right.
but also like what I can contribute to the company.
Exactly. Research the company's projects,
Yep.
initiatives, and values.
Okay.
Identify areas where your skills and interests align with their needs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about finding that mutual benefit
Yeah,
and showcasing your enthusiasm for being part of their team.
exactly.
Now, what about those dreaded questions about strengths and weaknesses?
Okay.
Those always feel like a trap to me.
They can be tricky,
Yeah.
but they're really an opportunity for self-reflection and honesty. You know,
Sure.
when talking about your strengths,
Yeah.
provide specific examples
Right.
that demonstrate your abilities.
Good.
And when discussing your weaknesses,
Yeah.
frame them in a positive light,
Okay.
focusing on areas where you're actively working to improve.
So it's not just about saying I'm a hard worker or I'm
Right.
a perfectionist.
Yeah.
It's about providing concrete examples and
Mhm.
showing that I'm self-aware and committed to growth.
Exactly. Remember, everyone has weaknesses.
Right.
What matters is how you approach them.
And then, of course, there's the inevitable question about career goals.
Right. So this is your chance to show that you're ambitious and have a clear vision for your future.
Correct.
Talk about your short-term and long-term goals.
Right.
And connect them to the company's growth trajectory.
Okay.
Demonstrate that you're not just looking for a job, but a career path where you can learn, grow, and make a meaningful contribution.
So it's about showing that I'm invested in my own professional development
Yes,
and that I see a future for myself within the company.
exactly. It shows that you're thinking long-term and that you're aligned with the company's vision.
Okay.
Now, one thing that often gets overlooked is the importance of asking questions at the end of the interview.
Oh, right. I always forget about that part.
Yeah.
What kind of questions should I ask?
Asking thoughtful questions demonstrates your curiosity, engagement, and genuine interest in the role in the company.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask about things that are important to you,
Wow.
such as the company culture, opportunities for growth,
Yeah.
or the team's working style. It's also a chance to clarify anything that wasn't covered during the interview.
So it's a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing me.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right fit for both parties.
This has been an incredibly valuable deep dive into the world of network engineering.
It has.
We've explored technical concepts, career paths, and even interview strategies.
Mhm.
I feel much more equipped to navigate this really fascinating field.
I'm glad to hear that.
So to our listener out there, whether you're prepping for a job interview, building your networking skills, or just curious about the technology that connects us all, remember to stay curious, embrace challenges, and never stop learning. And if you have any questions, you know where to find us.
That's right.